Mea Culpa by Tyler Perry is the story about a gentleman that is accused of killing his girlfriend, and Kelly Rowland is his defense attorney. I overall enjoyed the movie, but I know that this movie has had a lot of criticism, but I felt like the acting was decent, the wardrobe was decent. The only thing I think she really made some poor judgment calls. If you know that your brother-in-law doesn't like you, why in the world would you go to his house? And why in the world would you go to that house anyway after reading that email? That's one thing. And you could have taken your assistant with you or someone else with you to meet your client in his loft. And I would have insisted that he met me in the office or at least a restaurant or some other undisclosed location. She really made some poor judgment calls. Um, I thought it was a different storyline because I haven't seen a story in that matter. It kind of reminded me of Fatal Attraction and Jagged Edge, but this movie really had a lot of criticism. Some people thought that the storyline lacked coherence and it failed miserably to even remotely resembling the erotic thriller that Tyler Perry was aiming for. I personally don't care for that part, and at that part, I usually go and get a snack or take a break or walk out the room. I don't even really think you need that um, to have a good story. There's so many great stories without that erotic line. I personally don't need that, don't want it, don't care for it. But I'm just so pleased overall with Tyler Perry because he gets a lot of criticism and there are some things I don't like. But one thing I do say about Tyler Perry, he's an African American male that has made it to the top. All of his films are different. He tries to target different audiences. He's very diverse um, in choosing actors and actresses. You see people from African American background, people who have mixed ethnicities. You see European, Caucasian actors, Latino, Asian, young, old. He is very diverse, which is a lesson that Hollywood could most definitely learn. The title was also intriguing, and I'm glad that it's centered around Black actors. A lot of people felt that it went downhill when the mother announced the son was running for mayor, and he said that the defendant was going to be his poster boy, and they felt like that was gave a hint that the son and mother had done something underhanded. But what I didn't expect was for Kelly Rowland's husband to be in on it, and what I did not expect was that her sister-in-law also got entangled with her client. And it was also a twist that the girl was actually alive and in Mexico. And that's another mistake that Kelly Rowland made. She should have sent her own investigator and other people to look for the girl. She should have never trusted her brother-in-law to find that girl. And I either missed it or it wasn't included in the meaning in the movie. Was the Latino girl that was supposedly murdered, uh, did the brother-in-law have her killed or she disappeared or what happened to her? I don't remember seeing that part of the movie. This movie brought out a lot of emotion in me. Some of the characters you love, some of the characters you hate, some of the characters you absolutely despise. And the sister-in-law, domestic violence and the domestic abuse seems to be a running theme in all of Tyler Perry's movies and plays. I think that perhaps he's dealing with something that he dealt with as a child. But overall, I appreciate the diverse characters and seeing unity between different people of different nationalities. There were a lot of attractive, successful people. I'm happy that this movie wasn't centered around gangs and drugs. I get tired of that theme that all African American people are drug dealers. No, some of us are educated, highly educated, professional people who come from good, solid homes and backgrounds and who've never been in trouble with the law and have integrity and good moral character. Every person is not a drug dealer. Every person is not deranged. Every person, I'm just get really tired of that thing. The chemistry between Mia and Travante was intense, exciting, captivating. And even though she was in an unhappy marriage, she tried to remain faithful. But see, the thing that happened was when her investigator showed her a picture of her husband at some hotel, and come to find out that he was really there with his mother-in-law, with his mother and his sister-in-law and his brother. Because and then the fact that she lied about having cancer, that was really, I think I would have handled this totally differently. Because if you, again, if you know your mother-in-law and your brother-in-law don't care for you, why even be in their presence? Me, I wouldn't have been in the presence. I mean, I don't fool with family members that don't care for me. Some people have been very cruel with their comments. Some people say that if Tyler Perry made remote control airplanes like his script, his Globemaster would have crashed and burned on his maiden flight. And this movie is a prime example of why AI or artificial intelligence is going to be the end of the human race. Really? I think that's kind of cruel. Might even be a little bit uh, racist. Some people think that Tyler Perry hasn't grown as a writer. I don't necessarily agree with that because he moved from Black Christian families as his only audience to so many other films and movies with different types of endings and plots. I don't necessarily agree with that. But again, the money speaks for him. Why is he a billionaire if he's such a terrible writer? There seems to be a lot of misogyny in these stories, though. How can we address that as a people? But it was a new type of twist because the family faked the mother's sickness to set up the daughter-in-laws to create a scandal for one of the sons to get elected. I've never, ever heard of that type of thought. But overall, I thought it was interesting. Um, I would have loved to see who the father was. Who was their father that was married to this European woman, and what kind of man is he? And what happened to him? I don't remember seeing that. But it points out something else that I want to a little bit touch on this interracial marriages. It has been my experience and observation that usually when a black man is married to a woman of another persuasion, she really doesn't like his black family. She's just in love with him. She'll love her children and him, but she really doesn't care for his family. And when it gets to a point that he cannot provide for her or give her her needs physically or emotionally, she throws them to the curb. That's just a thought. And then there's been a lot of accusations where the person of the other persuasion would tell the black man that she's married to that his family only wants his money. And some of his family members are just as successful, if not more successful and educated than he is. So they kind of seem to kind of create a wedge between him and his black family. The children usually don't come around the Black family, and a lot of times they're not even around their family that's of another nationality or ethnicity. And a lot of times the spouse that is African American is despised by her spouse's his or her spouse's husband. Hmm. I think people need to watch this movie again before you give it a poor or a bad review. But sometimes I do wish that Tyler Perry would hire some other writers or at least have some other people. It's just always good to have another set of eyes on things. But overall, this movie was intense. It was action packed with the fight scenes. I think it was worthwhile. And I'm glad that Kelly Rowland beat the you know what out of that particular character's what. So proud because I hated that mother-in-law and that brother-in-law. I really did despise them.